morning, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to another video. I hope you've been keeping very well. I am really excited because in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you 5 vegan lunches that are wholesome and nourishing and delicious, and I have been loving them lately. All of these recipes have an element of meal prep that you can do in advance as well, so if you're someone who likes to meal prep, hopefully these can help you out to try some new things to enjoy throughout your week. Alrighty, let's get into it. This is 5 vegan lunches and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so to make this rice noodle dish, I start by pressing some firm tofu just to remove as much of the liquid from it as possible, and then I cut it into like 2 centimeter sized cubes, put this all into a bowl, and then I drizzled it with some teriyaki sauce. I also added in some olive oil, and then I very simply tossed this all together until the tofu was well coated. I put this to the side, and then I started peeling or grating this cucumber with a julienne peeler until I had all of these nice fine like ribbon-like pieces, and then did the same with a carrot. I also sliced some spring onion finely as I could get it, and then in a jar or a glass I combined some teriyaki sauce as well as rice wine vinegar, some lime juice and olive oil to make a pretty simple sauce to go with this. So then it was time to cook my tofu, so I just put this on medium to high heat over the stove and I fried it up. You don't want it to get too crispy, just kind of want to cook it lightly. Whilst that's cooking, I also put some rice noodles into some boiling water for a few minutes to cook them, soften them, whatever you want to call it. Then I transferred these into a bowl and added in my sauce as well as carrot and cucumber as well as some bean sprouts and some of the spring onion. And then I just use my hands to toss this all together. If you don't like using your hands when you cook, that's totally fine. You can mix it in another way, but I like to use my hands, and then I transferred about half of this into a bowl, topped it with some of the tofu as well as some chili oil, spring onions and a wedge of lime, and that was my lunch. Super simple and fresh, and this serves too, so you can make it to enjoy throughout the week if you would like to. So vegan meatballs is honestly something that I hadn't mastered, but I feel like I have after this recipe. So I started by cutting some brown onion finely, and then I also did that with some garlic as well, just a couple of cloves of garlic. Into a small frying pan, I put some olive oil, followed by that brown onion that I had diced up as well as the garlic. Then I also sprinkled in some dried herbs. I just did some thyme and some rosemary, and I fried this up for probably like 3 to 4 minutes. Then into my Vitamix blender, I put some lentils as well as the onion garlic mixture that I just fried up, some nutritional yeast, some plain flour. Then I also added in some vegan beef stock powder as well as some olive oil and some water. Then I put the lid on and I mixed this all together until it had a nice smooth texture. So what I do here is I then roll these into balls. The easiest way I find to do this is to put flour on my hands and then roll them up, and then I put them into some oil in a frying pan, and yeah, I just fried them up until they were golden on as many sides as you can possibly do with a meatball, basically. Into a separate frying pan, I put some tinned tomatoes, and then I added in about half of the meatballs, and I just tossed these through to get them nice and well coated. And then when it came to serving, I had made this fresh bread myself, not to flex or anything. So I cut a couple of pieces of this, put some vegan butter on as well as some spinach, and then I put a couple of the meatballs on here. This is a pretty versatile recipe, and you can do lots of things with meatballs, which I love. So the thing I love about these lentil meatballs is the fact that I can make a whole heap of them and then enjoy them throughout the week in different ways. I'm loving having them just in a very, very simple sandwich, but as well as that, they of course go very well in pasta, and you can enjoy them for dinner as well. They are really, really delicious and really hearty and filling, which we absolutely love. I'm just about to enjoy that sandwich very much so, but I want to quickly say a big thank you to Squarespace who have sponsored today's video. If you haven't checked out my new website, once you finish this video, definitely head over to amandadux.com and check it out. I am really proud of it. I'm really excited to have a fresh new space to share vegan recipes with you. I designed this website using Squarespace, which is such an easy platform to use if you're looking to host and design your own website. There are heaps of really amazing, simple templates, and something else I really love, which has really helped me elevate my new website, is being able to have a color scheme that really aligns with your branding. So I've gone with a lot of earthy tones, which I feel like really reflect what I'm doing here on YouTube. As well as that, it was really easy to add all of the blog posts onto my new website, and as well as that, link all of my social media accounts and my ebook. You would think that going into hosting and designing a new website would be very overwhelming, but Squarespace honestly makes it so easy and straightforward, which is why I really adore them so much. If you want to check Squarespace out, you can head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and then when you're ready to launch, you can go to squarespace.com/AmandaDux and use my code AmandaDux. That'll get you 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. All right, I'm gonna eat this meatball sandwich and then let's get into our next wholesome lunch for this video. So this lunch was heavily inspired by my friend Bonnie, who made something really similar lately, and it was actually like the best thing I've eaten in so long, so I have been doing my best to try and replicate it at home. I started by dicing up some pumpkin, leaving the skin on, and putting this into a bowl. I drizzled with some olive oil, and then I also added some smoked paprika as well as some salt and some pepper, and then I just tossed this all together to get everything as well coated as I possibly can before placing this onto a baking tray and putting it in the oven to start baking. So this is gonna be in the oven whilst we start doing everything else. I cut up some leek, which is honestly one of my favorite vegetables at the moment. It is just so good. I made sure to wash this thoroughly because I feel like there can always be dirt in leek. Anyway, did that, and then I also cut up some red capsicum into chunks as well. I also got a red onion and I cut this into chunks. I'm obsessed with roasted onion at the moment. Can't believe me a year ago would be like, what? But I am. Sorry, I am. Into a bowl, I put some olive oil as well as harissa seasoning, and I mix this all together, which is kind of like my hack for getting everything nice and coated with the spices. So I put my capsicum, onion and leek as well as some chickpeas into this bowl, and I mixed it together until all of the veggies and the chickpeas were nice and evenly coated with the oil and this spice mix. At this point, you want to remove the pumpkin from the oven, and we're going to add everything else onto the tray with the pumpkin and spread it all out nice and evenly. And we're basically going to put this back in the oven to roast for about a further 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how well roasted you like everything. Now with this, I'm going to serve some couscous. So I put some spelt couscous as well as water, vegan butter and veggie stock into a pot. I feel like so many people cook their couscous differently. I find this to be the most effective method with this spelt couscous that I have been getting from the health food store. I then placed some of this onto a plate and topped with some of the veggies as well as some hummus. And yeah, this was the lunch that I had. This serves actually about 3 to 4, so definitely something you can make in advance to enjoy throughout the week. So nourishing and really delicious. I hope you love it. So to make this ridiculously delicious salad, I start with a pot over the heat with some quinoa and water. I put the lid on to bring it to the boil. Then once it's brought to the boil, I remove the lid, reduce it to a simmer and allow it to cook away whilst I start preparing everything else. So into a small frying pan, I just put some raw almonds and I just toasted these on low to medium heat for about like 5 minutes and made sure I tossed them to try and get them as well evenly roasted on each side, if that makes sense. I also cut up some red onion into fine pieces, and then once my almonds were done, I cut these up into smaller pieces as well. The best that I could. It's very hard to chop almonds. I don't know if anyone else agrees with me on that, but it's hard. I also put some green beans into a pot of boiling water to cook. Only for a few minutes is all that they needed. And then it came time to assemble the salad. So I put the cooked quinoa as well as some peas, the green beans, some red kidney beans, as well as my diced red onion. Then I also added in the almonds. As you can see, we have a really nice crumble, which we absolutely love. And then of course I squeezed over some fresh lemon juice, you could use lime if you want, as well as some olive oil and some white wine vinegar. Then I also added in some salt and some pepper, and I just started mixing this all together. I feel like this seems like a really simple salad, and honestly it is. It's probably my favorite recipe from this video because it is so nourishing, so filling, and honestly tastes really good with such a simple salad dressing. I served it with some beetroot cashew cheese as well, which was absolutely divine. Again, this is a really great one to meal prep, and it'll leave you feeling really full. So, love it. To start making these fritters, I first of all finely chopped some fresh parsley. Then into my Vitamix, I added in some chickpeas as well as some flour and nutritional yeast. I also added in that fresh parsley as well as some garlic powder, salt, and some pepper, of course. I also added in my olive oil and then some water. Then it was time to blend it all together. So similar to the meatballs, I blended it all together until it was nice and smooth and then removed it. Then into a frying pan, I put some olive oil and I just molded these fritters with my hands and put them in to fry up. They need probably like 3 to 5 minutes on each side if you're cooking on like a high heat until they're nice and golden. And whilst they were frying, I cut up some cucumber as well as some spring onion and some lettuce, just to have a simple green salad with my fritters. So I put all of these things into a little bowl to mix them together, and then I also just added in a little bit of olive oil as well as some salt and some pepper, and then I also added in some white wine vinegar, which has become a pantry staple for me lately. I tossed this all together, and then when it came time to serve, I just put it onto a plate. I served this with 4 of the chickpea fritters, so I had about 4 of them left over, and then also some coconut yogurt as a simple sauce and some parsley on top. Super delicious. Alrighty, my beautiful friends, that brings us to the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. I'm going to leave all of the recipes in today's video linked down in the description box so that you can check them out and try them out at home if you would like to. As always, thanks for being here. Really hope you enjoyed today's video and got something from it. Hope you are taking care of yourself in the festive season and enjoying a bit of relaxation amongst the chaos of what tends to happen at this time of year. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week with another video. Bye!